Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, September 10th, 2014, and thank you for tuning in to FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Braden Robinson.
And I'm Andrew Briscoe. It's a fun show tonight, packed full of all of 4 people on air.
Absolutely. So, we do have a nice little skeleton crew tonight, so you are going to be seeing a lot of us throughout the rest of the show, but the weather doesn't stop just because we don't have a good amount of people, you know?
The weather's always fun in Tallahassee. Hot, cold, wet, rainy.
Absolutely. And
it's summer. It's always hot and rainy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, the rain is going to die down a bit. Only a 20% chance of rain tomorrow.
Well, good, because I'm kind of over the rain every day, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially since I'm the one person on campus that does not own an umbrella.
Absolutely. And you know what? You should probably get one of those. A good thing to invest in.
I definitely will.
Absolutely. But we have a lot to talk about tonight. Weekend rain about to get up there. We'll talk more about that later. The overview is coming up. You might get a taste of that. But if you're going out on campus tonight, what are we feeling like?
Bring a light jacket maybe if you're like me and can't stand under 70 degrees without a jacket.
Absolutely. We are going to get into the low 70s tonight. Might flirt with the high 60s. So yeah, a decent night.
Yeah, I like the low 70s. Just, I like that for a high, not a low.
Absolutely. And you know what? That'd be really nice if we can get those 70s up in the high temperatures. But, give it a couple months. We'll get there. Thanksgiving time,
Always
we will definitely get there. But right now, we will send it out to a quick overview with Jonathan.
Fortunately for Andrew, we're going to be talking about some warmer weather and also some drier weather over the next couple of days. Unfortunately for Andrew, though, that's not going to stick around. Showers across the Big Bend area right now, but there is a cold front that is pushing through the Central Plains and into the Midwest, and there's actually some severe weather involved in Illinois up into Indiana with some watches up there for some severe weather into the evening hours. And that is going to push our way slowly but surely over the next few days and bringing us some more moisture and also possibly a little bit of cooler weather as we head into early next week. Around Florida, we're looking at those easterly showers pushing across the peninsula right now. We're going to get to this a little bit later, but there is a system off the east coast of Florida that could bring in some advanced rain chances as we head into the weekend into early next week. As I said, this is what we're going to be talking about the entire show. Break of the rain for the next couple of days, but those temperatures and the rain chances will be heading back up for the weekend and into early parts of next week. Now, Andrew, I've heard that you're going to be talking more about that low pressure center off the east coast.
That's right, John. A little bit later in the tropical segment, you'll see me out at the green screen talking about the invest off the coast of Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk about real quick how that'll increase our rain chances this weekend. It's going to make its way across southern Florida, kind of get into the Gulf of Mexico and just kind of stall there.
Yeah, and it's going to bring a little bit higher rain. Everybody, I'm sure, is used to the summer rains, but fortunately, we'll be dry Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it's going to be the rain chances are going to be brought up because of this little disturbance.
Absolutely, and you're going to want to make those outdoor plans now, of course, for the next couple days, tomorrow into Friday, maybe even tonight. It's going to be a nice day tonight, or a nice night tonight. But when we talk about tomorrow, maybe a good day to head out to the beach.
I'd say so. I mean, nice, no rain, lots of sun. UV index very high, though, so bring the sunscreen.
Absolutely. We will send it right now back to local, back into Tallahassee with Casey.
Thanks so much, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at those current temperatures across our region. We see in the metro area right now, we're sitting at 90 degrees here. Some of our areas, though, as we get into southwest Georgia, are a little bit warmer, though. Bainbridge sitting at 95 degrees. Wilma, 92 degrees out in the western part of the Panhandle out there toward Liberty County. Coastal area is also a little bit cooler as we're getting some influence from the Gulf of Mexico waters. 88 down in Apalachicola and 86 in Carabel at this hour. Now, current heat index factors do show that it is very warm to the feel of your skin, or on your skin, I should say. 106 is what it feels like right now in Bainbridge. 97 in Tallahassee. Just remember to make sure to try to stay inside as when the temperatures get warmer. You need to make sure you just stay in that air conditioner and drink plenty of water as you're around the community. Otherwise, pretty nice conditions around our area today. Besides the warm temperatures, water vapor prints the situation very nicely. In fact, we do see the green earlier in the situation late last night. That was moisture in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and we did have some shower and thunderstorm activity around. However, that's since moved out of our area and we've seen nicer conditions since then. In fact, that's in our brownest colors on the map here. Just great conditions across our Big Bend region. Now, local radar, there have been a few isolated showers, but not too much of a factor. Out toward Taylor County, we see a few showers just to the northeast of Perry. Also, a few showers out toward Madison County and in toward areas just west of Valdosta as well. But not too much of a disruption in your afternoon and evening activities. Maybe just coming home from work shouldn't have been too much of a disruption for you, or if you're just going out around the community. High pressure is in control pretty much across our area. We do see relatively nice conditions as we get into tomorrow. A few isolated showers around, and it will be warm as well. But we do have a cool front with a low pressure system starting to approach our area, and that's going to have an influence on our forecast. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but we're watching that closely as some showers and thunderstorms could be around. If you do go to the beach tomorrow at 11 in the extreme range, the UV index, so make sure you bring that sunscreen if you're going there. Temperatures tonight, though, will be relatively nice. Lower 70s, 72 degrees in Tallahassee. St. Mark, 71 degrees. Tomorrow, a pretty nice day across the area. Just a few showers, 94 for your high temperature. And in that 7-day forecast, we do see those temperatures will be in the low 90s, starting to cool down as that cool front influences us and brings us some more rain. Right now, though, we'll go ahead and take it over to John.
That's right. And you can see that cold front off towards the northwest, starting to cool down all of Oklahoma and much of the northern plains this afternoon with some rain showers, and that's all pushing slowly down towards the south. That is all bringing heat down into Texas, and it's really starting to bring that century mark back into the Texas area. Dallas sitting at 100 degrees behind the cool front, though. Oklahoma City at 80 degrees, and that's all going to slide slowly towards our area. But for now, we're talking the upper 80s into low 90s for much of the southeast, and that's going to continue each and every afternoon over the next couple of days. Some clouds will be pushing on through over the next couple of days as well, but really not a whole lot of rain. Rain chances are actually lower than they normally would be this time of year. Winds are going to be out of the east, off the Atlantic, and off the Gulf as well, coming out of the south across the Gulf Coast. So it's going to be warm, but it's not going to be quite as wet here across the Big Bend area. This is going to be the main story over the next 5 to 6 days or so. That's a tropical disturbance that is starting to brew just north of the Bahamas, and that's going to slowly push across South Florida and into the Gulf of Mexico over the next 3 to 4 days. So by the end of this weekend and into early next week, those rain chances could be on the way up as the system moves in. And as I mentioned, that cold front is going to be pushing through, so that's going to act sort of like train tracks. It's going to pick up this cargo and really bring all of that rain up towards the Big Bend and across the western side of the peninsula. And that's going to be our forecast for Saturday, Sunday, possibly into Monday, and maybe even Tuesday before that really gets out of our way. But for now, we're just going to deal with those pop-up thunderstorms across the peninsula and across the panhandle. High pressure is in control for now across Georgia and Alabama, but that cool front that I keep mentioning is really going to push down towards the south over the next couple of days. If you're heading out into the water, high pressure is in control there for now. South winds at 5 to 10 knots. It's going to be a good beach weekend for at least the early part of the weekend before those showers and the clouds really work into the area. For tonight's forecast, 70s across most of the southeast. The warm spot for tonight will be in Key West at 79 degrees. Temperatures pretty average for the next couple of days until that cool front really works its way in. And where we are right now is pretty average. And what else is average? This is the average peak of hurricane season right now across the Atlantic Basin. Got more on that at the desk, guys.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that real quick. Like Jonathan said, September 10th, peak of hurricane season. On average, we see about 4 tropical cyclones in September.
All right, 4. Wow. Think about that. That's what. Now, I remember 2004, 2005, the big active seasons. We saw how many? I swear it was like a tropical storm a week.
Absolutely. There was definitely plenty of storms during those times. Little active. Last year, though, we barely had any storms.
Yeah, it was kind of a dull year almost in the tropics. Just nothing really developing. And
absolutely. Maybe not interesting for us. Maybe not good for us, but for the people and for the safety
of
everybody else, it's definitely good. And we would like to see more of that.
Yeah, more calmness, really, actually. Even though it is the peak, That means things will slowly be winding down till the end of November when hurricane season officially ends. But for now, Braden, you're going to give us a look at the whole U.S.
Yeah, let's do that real quick. Honestly, everyone in the United States cares about hurricanes that much. But we are going to look at the rest of the United States. Look at that, still reaching the triple digits out in Dallas, Texas. 100 degrees out there. Miami actually cooler than us right now, which is quite interesting, sitting at about 82 degrees in Miami, but 90 out in Tallahassee. Now, Miami has had that rain over the last couple of hours, so that might have cooled them down, but quite interesting to look at. Heat indexes, again, I will step out of the way and into Texas. It feels like 107 in Dallas, feels like 103 out in San Antonio. 91 is your heat index in New Orleans. So we are still feeling the heat as we are getting into the later days of summer, making our way into fall coming in late September. Satellite and radar, again, showing not much going on in the west, but you could definitely see where that cold front is. That precipitation, really the leading edge of that front. And of course, we still have our sea breeze showers down in Florida. Let's zoom into that real quick. Let me walk this way. And you can see those showers that did cool down Miami a little bit and are still making our way across the East Coast. So we are going to continue to see those showers and thunderstorms late into the evening, maybe even a sprinkle up in Tallahassee. Let's zoom in on this cold front real quick. Right now, going over the Great Lakes, just finished going over Lake Michigan, making its way to Lake Erie, Lake Huron, and into the northeast. New York probably going to be seeing some rain in the next couple of hours, but as we zoom in a little closer, you could really see pretty intense rain bands getting in here. You can see with the yellows and greens, yellows indicating the heavier rain. So a lot of light rain, but definitely up north by the Great Lakes and into Canada and back down, you're going to see those heavier showers. Excuse me. Back into Montana, definitely also a lot of rain, maybe even in the higher mountains, a little bit of snow up there. So even though it's summer, we might still even be seeing some snow. Airport delays, we're looking pretty good across the board, even out on the East Coast. Boston, it's always a nightmare flying out of there, but we are looking good at the moment. Tonight, looking again at those cool temperatures, 34 degrees out in Billings, Montana. Back home in Tallahassee, let's call it 72. 72 in Atlanta as well. Floating with the 60s in Washington, D.C., 69 and 63 in Boston. Tomorrow, 58 out in Minneapolis, 67 out in Kansas City. A little bit of rain and maybe some mixed precipitation again in the higher mountains in Billings, sitting at 48 degrees. Back home in Tallahassee, 94. And again, we are going to top out warmer than Miami, down at 90 degrees. New Orleans sitting at 91. So if you want to take a quick day trip to New Orleans, you don't have any Friday classes, go after class, take a weekend trip to New Orleans. It's going to be fun. Upper 60s up in Detroit, lower 80s out in Boston, and hitting the 90 mark out in Washington, D.C. So Andrew, let's bring it back to Tallahassee a little bit, and let's talk about what we got going on locally.
All right, thank you, Braden. To start, Tallahassee, the rest of the work week, what's the first thing we got to look at? Drier on Thursday, beautiful for Friday. What about the weekend? Stay tuned. What is it going to be like temperature-wise? Warm. Tomorrow, 92, 93, maybe even 94 in Tallahassee. Friday, more of the same, 94, 95, mid-90s throughout most of the rest of the work week. Now, as we take a look around the southeast or around the Big Bend area, Tallahassee currently at 90. St. Mark's, Carabel, and Apalachicola along the coast, a little bit cooler due to that sea breeze coming up in the mid and upper 80s. And of course, the warm spot, like almost always, Bainbridge at 95. And the cool spot now, Perry, a little bit of rain in the area has brought them down to 72. The current winds around there, you can see again that sea breeze coming up from the Gulf into the area. Almost everybody dealing with those southerly winds, especially along the coast at St. Mark's, Carabel, Apalachicola, and even in Tallahassee. The winds, though, very light and moderate, only 5 to 10 miles an hour around much of the area. Now the radar, again, you can see this southerly coast, or the wind off the southern coast into the Gulf coming up and bringing a lot of the rain. And then back behind me, we see the rain coming from Jacksonville towards Perry, bringing them the rain-cooled weather that they've been seeing for the last little bit. And it's dropped their temperature down to the 70s. Now, as we take a look at more broad towards the southeast, you can still see a lot of the rain around Tallahassee and Big Bend, but much of the Florida Peninsula is also dealing with a lot of those sea breeze showers, especially near Miami and the east coast of Florida, especially where this tropical disturbance is. I'll get more into that later. But it's bringing a lot of rain, a lot of showers throughout a lot of the peninsula, but really not much really on land. There's a few showers around Gainesville and Ocala, but aside from that, really nothing around Florida. But for the future cast, we're going to take a look now. we'll see this high pressure is going to dissipate up in the Carolinas, and that's going to bring in a lot of hot and really dry conditions around Tallahassee. It's going to be mid-90s, 93, 94, like we said earlier, especially in Tallahassee, while the higher spots in Bainbridge and Valdosta, upper 90s possible. And then behind this, of course, the cold front's going to come in, and it's going to give us a little bit of rain and showers for this weekend. As you can see there, even Friday night, thankfully not a home game this weekend for Florida State or I believe FAMU, but so there's no downtown get down to get rained out. So there's one good sign, right? And then to Friday and Saturday, this will pull on through. And then eventually we'll get into tonight. Of course, we'll get into tonight first before Friday. But tonight, mostly clear, 72 degrees. Stray shower possible. You may want that light jacket, like we said at the desk, if you're like me. Like the light jacket when it's in the lower 70s. But for tomorrow, Tallahassee, warm. Showers are possible. It could be a beach day, but 94 degrees is going to be the number of record. And for now, we're going to take it off to Casey and John for a look back at the desk for some more stories. Right, guys?
Yeah, there's 94 is pretty typical of this time of year. It's a little bit on the warm side, but of course, something else that might be on the warm side, except for right now, is the tropics. Tropics, there's a couple of systems out there, but we're still below average for this time of year.
That's right. We're not tracking too much in the way of tropical activity now, but in weather history, we did. We were talking about it yesterday in depth at the desk, that Hurricane Dora made landfall at 12:20 on this date back in 1964. And of course, our FSU alum, George Winterling, was on the air with that, providing great information. He just had an outstanding forecast out ahead of that as well.
Yeah, and if you want to go back even farther, back into 1941, they hadn't even had their first storm yet. It was an exceptionally slow season. Their first storm didn't form until September 11th on that year.
And also, there was a New England hurricane named Edna. It was the second major hurricane already of the season back in 1954 to hit the state of New England. Very serious conditions in that area. Also, 1960, we had Hurricane Donna. It struck the Florida Keys with a very low barometric pressure that measured intensity of a storm. There was a 13-foot tide, 155-knot winds, and Naples was inundated.
Yeah, it's pretty typical to see a lot of hurricanes on this date, but from here on out, we start going back down towards some quieter activity out in the Atlantic and possibly some quieter activity out around the country as well. Guys? Or guy?
Well, I'll tell you guys, a lot of those historic hurricanes, definitely think about Florida because we did see a lot of them. But let's take a look at the Sunshine State right now. Sitting at 90 in Tallahassee, 84 out in Jacksonville. Again, we've already talked about Miami, cooler than Tallahassee right now, sitting at 82. Again, quite interesting. These winds really seeing onshore flow around the whole state, that high pressure system up in South Carolina, really giving us that counterclockwise flow. So you have that southerly flow in Tallahassee, the easterly flow out in Orlando at a pretty decent clip too, about 5 to 10 miles an hour. That could change our temperatures a couple degrees, so pretty significant with this kind of clockwise rotation really defined on this graphic. I love showing that one because it really shows you how the weather systems are working. As we look at the radar zoomed out, we can see, again, those sea breeze showers still making their way in. Let's zoom our way into Tallahassee. A couple showers making their way through up into Dothan, Alabama. Storms just west of you are in the clear right now. Moving over to Jacksonville, storms making their way from the east to the west. Starting to dissipate a little bit. Down in Ocala, though, you are seeing a couple of showers. The Keys are really getting drenched today, just starting to dissipate now, so you are in the clear, but back 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you were seeing quite a lot of showers. Showers still making their way east into West Palm, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, maybe down into Coral Springs. You're still not out of the woods just yet. Storms in Central Florida making their way west now, down into Tampa, into Claremont, back into Lake County, Brevard County. You seem to be pretty good right now. A couple stray showers still might make their way east, but down to Osceola County, Kissimmee, Orlando, you guys are looking good. Down in Polk County, still seeing a couple showers, so make sure you are aware of that if you're going out tonight. But again, mostly making its way into Tampa at this time. Again, back into Tallahassee, a couple showers making their way through, especially in the eastern portions out in Perry, Thomasville, Valdosta. You might see a couple showers out there. Tonight, low 70s up north, mid to upper 70s down south. Key West, the warm spot, 79 degrees. Fort Myers sitting at 75, 76 out in Orlando. And for tomorrow, Again, lower to mid-90s across the board. 89 West Palm, the cold spot. 93 degrees in Orlando, 91 in Jacksonville. But we'll go ahead and send it off to the rookie Andrew one more time. Give you a quick look of the tropical update.
All right, thank you, Braden. Yeah, first night on the show and I get put on the tropical segment. Always fun, right? Just a little quick tropical update. Everybody knows 4 named storms so far this year. Arthur made a Category 2 hurricane, Bertha Category 1, same with Cristobal. And Dolly was a little tropical storm, the most recent storm, of course. The next name on the list, Edouard, if either of the 2 INVEST currently being checked out do develop into a named storm. Now, a little bit of climatology. Today is the official hurricane season peak. Things start to wind down after today. And where do hurricanes form after today? Well, a lot of them near the Antilles and the eastern Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico, the Big Basin too. But of course, we always hear about Cape Verde storms. These are the ones that come off of Africa near the Cape Verde Islands, oddly enough, right? And then they travel westward and they follow this path either right over Florida or up the east coast of the US. And then here's the first one, the INVEST right off the coast of Florida, right over the Bahamas. This is just an area of disturbed weather, a few showers and storms. Not currently expected to develop into anything major. It's only got a 10% chance of development in the next couple of days from the National Hurricane Center. And of course, this is the other one. This is the Cape Verde storm. This has a greater chance of development. I believe it's 50 or 60% in the next few days. And actually a little bit more impressive back here, where our satellite picture cuts off, than this center here. Now, as we take it back from the tropics into the tri-state area, we could see upper 80s to low 90s all across Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. Even some lower 90s down in Tampa, 92. Hey, look, my hometown, 92. All right, take a look at the radar. Like I said earlier, those storms up the peninsula of Florida sort of lining up right where the sea breezes collide, the west coast from the Gulf and the east coast sea breeze from the Atlantic. They collide over the peninsula and they cause all these nice summer storms that we're so used to in Florida. Now over Tallahassee, a few showers, but not a lot. Same with really the rest of the Panhandle, not a lot of showers. But for tonight, another night like a normal summer night, low 70s, mid 70s along the coast. We'll hit 72 in Tallahassee, 70 in Valdosta, 71 in Albany, 71 down in Gainesville, but we won't talk about them too much. Savannah, 72, and the cool spot on this map, 69 up in Macon. Tomorrow, we'll see another pretty typical summer day. Low to mid 90s, lower 90s and upper 80s along the coast, mid 90s inland, 94 here in Tallahassee, 94 in Valdosta, 95 in Albany, and the cool spot on the map, we'll give that to Savannah at 90. So, but for the rest of the show, and we'll give John and Casey a little bit of time. We're going to send it back to the desk with Casey and John to talk a little bit more about, I'm going to say the mosquitoes, but I think I'm wrong actually.
We'll go ahead and talk about the mosquitoes. Thanks so much, Andrew. And as we do so, we'll go ahead and talk about mosquito-borne illnesses are actually a serious concern.
Yeah, actually there was one reported case of West Nile virus here in Leon County, not in Tallahassee, but in Leon County. And we get so used to that with all the water that sits around here during the summer that we actually have a couple of cases each year that pop up. And one just happened to pop up here in Leon County.
That's right. Make sure that you just try to stay away from areas with water that is standing, because that is a major source of where mosquitoes like to stay at. And that also that threat of rain will be going up, that I'll be talking about here in a moment. So just make sure to be careful out there. Wear long clothing as well.
Yeah, the best thing you can do if you're going to be out late at night on campus, mosquitoes like being out late at night as well. You got to cover up so you don't get bitten by those mosquitoes.
Yes, so just be very careful with that. And again, we'll be watching that rain closely in the forecast across the area. And as we do look at the radar, we see that there are even a few showers right now. As we get in toward Taylor County, we do have a few showers. That activity will be moving, though, in towards some of our more central and westernmost counties here across our region. We do see that situation is going on right now. As we get into areas around Gadsden County, we do have a few showers northwest of Quincy, so we'll watch those closely. Now, current conditions do show 90 degrees is the temperature, partly cloudy skies The humidity a little bit lower than it has been, 52%, and that's because some of the moisture moving away from our area, bringing in a little bit of nicer conditions across the Big Bend region. So that's a source of some good news here around our area. The wind's even picking up, making it a little bit cooler at 9 miles an hour. Temperature-wise across the region, we looked at this a little bit earlier, but we still see 95 in Bainbridge, 90 here in the metro. Coastal areas core because of that Gulf influence. Now, I wanted to say an interesting facet of the weather situation that does impact our local weather, and that is temperatures across the nation. We do see cooler temperatures in the northwest, unusually cool temperatures. We see 68 in Kansas City, 50 in Minneapolis, but all the way down to 43 degrees in Billings. Very cool conditions in those areas, and that's going to kind of try to make its way at least a little bit closer. Nothing like those temperatures, but that will bring a little bit of a cool down in the forecast. You see temperatures already falling behind this front, a 19-degree temperature difference over the last 24 hours in toward Kansas City, 24 degrees in Minneapolis. That really tells the story as these cooler temperatures are trying to make their way further down from the northwest and from areas in Canada as well, trying to get a little closer toward the First Coast region. We do see that there will be a bit of a break in the rainfall, so that's some good news. Those showers will stay steady across the temperatures will stay steady across the area, so they will start to cool down a little bit as we get into your weekend, and the rain does return with that influence of that cool front, trying to get at least a little bit closer to our area. We do see some shower activity in a very light, isolated nature tomorrow, and as we get into your Friday, there'll be a little bit more widespread shower activity, at least at our coastal regions. Now tonight, we're seeing 72 degrees here in the metro, 71 down towards St. Marks and McCullough County, a little bit cooler there. And tomorrow we'll be seeing 94 degrees in the metro, 93 down toward the coast, just a straight shower around, a pretty nice day across the region. And in that 7-day forecast, we do see those temperatures. We see those will be starting to cool down just a little bit from that influence of the weather situation across our Big Bend region. So that's some good news at least. We will see even a little bit of rain coming into that forecast as we get into early next week, John.
Yeah, on campus today it was fantastic out there. Nice stroll. It was a little warm, but there wasn't even a drop of rain on campus. But those alarms did go off on your phone in class today. Why did those go off today, Casey?
Because of the FSU alert system being tested across the campus to try to make sure people do have access to the alerts that are being issued by Florida State University.
Yeah, there are more than a dozen ways on campus that you can be alerted by email, text, tweet. There's a lot of different things. I got the email, I got the tweet. Did you get all of that today?
Absolutely got the email, things like that nature. But luckily, we shouldn't be leaving FSU alert for severe weather warnings anyway. At least the next couple days, we do see those rain chances going up into the weekend and early next week, though, and temperatures cooling down just a little bit.
Yeah, and normally we broadcast ourselves to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, but you can also follow us and follow FSU Alert as well, and sign up for those alerts at alerts.fsu.edu. And get informed when severe weather does roll through with us and our friends at FSU Alert each day and night for the next couple of months.
That's right. Make sure you keep an eye on those weather alerts. But for now, I'm Casey Cloud.
And I'm meteorologist Jonathan Bellis. Have a great night. Have a safe night as well.